pressure. We are going to be seeing these build orders start to shape on up as it is a Stargate opening coming out from Creator. I love the spread of the queens there from Dark. It makes it so difficult to move forward with those oracles. Just you can see them placed around almost like missile turrets in kind of a campaign mode mission or something, where they're just ready to prevent those oracles from getting freely in to not only get any kind of drone damage on, but also to get a whole lot of scouting information. But one oracle does manage to make its way into the natural.
Creator is very active with these oracles, man, and so far I am loving it. We don't want to lose it though. Let's not do the cast the curse thing where he's like, oh, he's doing a great job with the oracles, and then he loses one or two. But I'd say so far so good. The man is just building probes at home, queues up the first immortal. The only thing I'm a bit confused by Fear Dragon is that our Twilight Council finished up quite some time ago, as this oracle takes a lot of damage. Could have hyped it up, but I knew it was going to survive at 2 HP. But we have a Twilight Council, but he doesn't use it.
I am suddenly flashbacking, Kev, to all of the Zerg players who pre-patch or right after the patch had launched were saying, you know, Swarmo's pretty good on these maps, actually. There's a lot of potential and power for that. But in order to utilize those Swarmos, it seems like Dark is going to have to first make sure he can survive and not take too much damage from this first attack.
Oh, he will absolutely survive, mate. Creator cannot be on creep. What Creator can obviously do is try to pretend he wants to be aggressive and hope that he can buy some extra time. This hallucinated Phoenix finally gets the big scout off, but the first Nidus network is already going up, and we're not looking at 6 to 8 Swarmos. We have 14 Swarmos on the production tab. This is going to be very hard. Army supplies don't look that bad right now for Creator, but the biggest problem is that his army is not fantastic in dealing with Locust. But the one thing he does have is a cannon, a battery. Stasis traps could come in very handy, and it's so important not to take too much damage from the first wave of Locust. We're going to activate battery overcharge immediately, has to pull the probes away, and he does. I actually think this is very acceptable for Creator.
Yeah, 6 workers lost. I think a Zealot and a Stalker or so is definitely not the worst loss whatsoever. He would love to be able to clean up that Nidus Storm just to start preventing additional Nidus Storms from starting to scatter around the map and really increase the options for where things can go. That is going to be the power, the value of those oracles staying alive to this part of the game.
Actually, very well done as well. Left a couple of Immortals behind just in case Dark would go for some sort of crazy roach run by or try to get a Nidus up in the natural. That is not going to be the case. It's all about these Stargate units to keep track of this terrifying Zerg army. Will Dark make the mistake of landing all of his Locusts at the same time? The answer is no. Dark is way too good for that. So a lot of Locusts will get on top of these Stalkers, sentries, batteries, and I think Overcharge is still on cooldown for a split second. But Creator is hanging in there. He's taking damage, but he's absolutely hanging in there. I'm actually starting to smile a little bit, man, and this is why it's so important for Creator to keep these oracles alive, right? Like, yes, it's nice to kill drones, and sometimes you want to kill a queen or two, but if you lose these oracles, keeping track of these Nidus networks, keeping track of all the Locusts is so much more difficult. Fantastic pickup there as well with the Warp Prism. Hasn't really lost a single Immortal yet, as far as I can tell. He's going to activate battery overcharge. Dark has, I don't want to say given up on this, but he is looking to transition as Hive is close to finishing up, and we've got a Lurker then on the way. But Creator obviously at this point knows, like, hey, this was good, but it was kind of easy. And if things are too good to be true in PvZ from the Protoss point of view, they usually are, and then you know that your opponent is not all out committed. Obviously Creator has a lot of respect for Dark. He knows how good he is, and if Dark was truly all in and committed off lair tech, he would have been way more in his face. Creator knows that, so I do think it's time for Creator now to see if we can maybe start getting to the other side of the map, maybe sneak a Prism into the main base and start being on the offensive.
Well, it's still going to have to be dealing with these Swarmos because they have not been taken care of, and the next Swarm is still going to be an active option. 16 workers going down, definitely some pretty good damage, and finds the Nexus. We're seeing the counterattack across the map. A couple of these Lurkers are being morphed. The Oracles find them and actually manage to cancel 2 of them, going for the 3rd as well, lifting up a Queen.
Mapu, can you show us the Immortal count real quick? Because I have the feeling we're looking at a ludicrous amount of Immortals. He's got 12 Immortal. Roaches will absolutely stand no chance against 12 Immortals. Dark is going to have to get the Swarmos back in. Everywhere Dark looks right now, he sees Immortals. He's going to try to get on top of these 4. There is a Warp Prism nearby. Dark is going to try to get on top of this army with all of his Locusts, but I'm really starting to believe in Creator's chances here. He may be down 50 supply. All he needs to do is wait until this wave of Locusts has disappeared, and then he needs to go. He knows that he took a lot of economic damage, but the army supplies right now are actually a lot closer than what the numbers are telling us. A lot of Hydras are on the way, but the Hydras don't have all of their upgrades. Immortals are great, but they do need a little bit of support. It's kind of now or never for Creator, and he knows it.
He is consolidating his army. He has finally put it all together into one big chunk, one big piece. Drones being pulled off the line as well. The Hydras are doing their best to try and hold on until the Swarmos have a Locust Wave available. Locust Wave has been launched from every single one of those Swarmos, and the Protoss army has to retreat on back. He's not able to break through into the natural. He's able to pick up a couple of the reinforcements coming in from behind, but as soon as that Locust Wave disappears, it's going to be go time yet again for Creator, and he's already been able to find quite a few good trades.
And he's going to be able to whap in a couple of extra units as well. He's sitting on a little bit of money, 800 minerals, 800 gas. He decides to go for 6 or 7 Stalkers, and these Hydras once more don't have all their upgrades. It is kind of, the number is decent now. 25 Hydras is very decent, but it doesn't feel like they were necessarily all together at the same place. It's a proper micro battle. There is a forward blink by Creator. He thinks he's got enough firepower, but he lost the War Prism, Ravi.
He can't micro back the Immortals anymore. The Swarmos are coming on out, and the Protoss army is disappearing before dark.
Dark's opening a little bit different, could lead into some crazy aggression, as Dark had 4 links, makes 4 more links right now. Could just be to deal with these first 2 adepts that are heading his way. We're gonna have to keep an eye on it. Creator, what are we doing? He moved commands on top of the ramp, did not expect the links and the queens there, and that's honestly a big blunder. You don't have a lot of units early game, every adept matters, and this is gonna scare him even more, because now he didn't even get the shade into the main base, so he doesn't know if something scary is happening. Yep, Creator sees that there is nothing too scary out there. These are the moments that for us as commentators and as fans are very chill. We know that they're just macroing, but if you're Creator, you're playing this game, you're on the edge of your seat, you're nervous, you're trying to pick up on anything you could potentially see on the minimap, because you don't want to find yourself in that scenario where 22 Zerglings show up, they wrap around the 3rd Nexus, or even a couple of super random Banelings that are morphing, trying to blow up the Adept that's in the wall to open the floodgates, right? Because then a Void Ray is suddenly not all that great anymore. We know none of that is happening, but obviously Creator is making sure he's double checking, he's triple checking, and he wants to ideally drop the Revelation here as well. And then he gets the confirmation that all of this looks pretty normal and he doesn't have anything to worry about. Dark dropping the Hydra then. Now very often we'll talk about Lurkers, right, and how we could go into Lurker Viper, and that's great. Roach Hydra is not something we talk about very often, because a lot of people tell you that the Roach Hydra is terrible. And Roach Hydra, yes, is terrible in some ways, but it is very good against people that don't get any splash damage. If there is no Storm or Disruptor or Colossus, Roach Hydra is actually still good, guys, trust me, because Zealots don't do very well, Archons don't do very well, and even Immortals will only be good against the Roaches, but we can talk about that later, as we have a couple of Archons, a Void Ray, and a bunch of Zealots showing up in the main base. Dark was a little bit out of position. He will obviously be able to clean this up, but the real question is how much damage is Creator able to do? Is he going to recall these Zealots out? Yeah, he's going to try at least.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get a handful of them, and it's important because otherwise losing 8 or so Zealots in exchange for, what, 5 drones is definitely not going to be worth it.
He's got to play like Void Ray Colossus or something, no? Because he's got +1 air weapons on the way, he's got a 2nd Stargate on the way, and there is a Robo Bay done. We have not quite used that Robo Bay yet, but I mean, these guys are like, hey, we've been around since Wings of Liberty. We're going to show you some Wings of Liberty, baby. Void Ray Colossus against Roach Hydra. Disruptors are a dream unit in this scenario. Creator doesn't even truly need to worry about defending this base. All that Creator needs to do here in Game 2, guys, is stabilize on 3 bases. Get as many batteries as you can, get as many cannons as you can, and get up the Disruptor count. And I think as soon as he's got 3 Disruptors, there is no way he should ever lose against Roach Hydra of Lairtech.
Yeah, we're seeing the Creator is going to go for this hatchery snipe. He also got the hatchery in the bottom left-hand side as well. So that's a double hatch snipe there for Creator. That actually might immediately trigger Dark to start moving across the map and try and get something done.
I'd love to see one more Robo here. Like, I know maybe that doesn't even come into play. First Aces is decent. All that Creator needs to do, guys, is make sure he does not lose any Disruptors. Keep your Disruptor count. Crank out 1 at a time, just chrono boost it. As long as he gets a couple of Disruptors out, there is no way he ever loses. Dark is gonna go super old school. I always think of Nurture when I see this. He is going to pick up the entire Zerg army and drop it into the main base of the Protoss.
It's actually so difficult for this Protoss army to deal with this unless the Void Rays are in position already. And I don't think Creator has any idea something like this is going to be coming. The gateways are going to be the first thing to scout this out, as those drop overlords are moving straight on in to the main base of Creator at the same time, and another army moves into the bottom right, or to the top right.
Yep, Dark is going to try to attack the main base and the third at the same time. I still don't think this is ever going to work for Dark, though, and he kind of has to know that too. He can't really escape either because the Void Ray count is so high, but the roaches are stopped. That's a big Nova, and Dark's supply is plummeting. Dark is losing at the top left. He's probably losing a lot of units at the third as well. Creator is so full of confidence, still going up to 4 bases in the top right, queuing up a carrier. And earlier I said if things are too good to be true, they usually are. Well, this probably feels too good to be true as well for Creator, but he's done it, Ravi. He has literally done it. I don't see what Dark does from here on out.
Dark has nothing else behind this. He's churning out more and more of these Hydras. He's getting a +2 missile attacks, but that's about it. He is so far behind in supply right now. He is going to be trying to push back the Void Rays, but the Disruptors, like you said before, not only are they great on the defense, I think they're still going to be really effective when he starts finally getting on the offense.
Yep, but I don't even know if we're ever going to see that, because Creator will probably feel like, I don't even need to attack you right now. Until I am maxed out, he's going to maybe try to land one more Nova. I think Dark might just launch one more desperation attack, and then that could be it. Or it will be indeed Creator marching to the other side of the map. But at this point, Dark is just completely running out of options. He does not have money for the Infestation Pit and Hive Tech. And even if he would find the resources for that, there is no way that he can drag this game on long enough to ever get some Vipers out. And that's obviously the one unit that he needs to have a chance in this game.
There's so many units that the Viper would help out against, whether it be the Disruptors, pulling the carriers on forward. It's really tough, but like you said, he's not really going to have the resources to afford it, especially after having lost 2 of his bases, and he only finally recently got back up. He may very well be losing those bases again, though, because the Prismatic Alignment is active, and that hatchery is getting target fire down.
Yep, Dark is down more than 50 supply. Has a couple of Hydras in the natural, and I think they found some success, but this hatchery, well, it's getting saved for now by the Queens, but he's losing a tremendous amount of Roaches and Hydras in the top right side. Turns out that the Queen is still pretty good, and it does keep that hatchery alive. That's an excellent save by Dark. But that doesn't really change the reality of the situation that he's in. If you're maxed out, you're never going to get further ahead than you currently are at this point. Sometimes you can trade out some units and get a slightly better army, but it's not like Dark has a lot of static defenses that you need to worry about. You just kind of need to send it right now. If you've got your opponents on the ropes, go ahead and knock him out, and that's exactly what Creator is going to do here.
Now, Dark is going to try and counter with his own big base trading move, and I mean, it's kind of his best bet, but remember, Recall is still going to be available, and that means that there is nothing back at home to prevent this big Protoss Deathball from moving on forward. It looks like Pylon's getting target fired down on the other side of the map, but it's not going to be enough, and Dark knows it. Creator! Dark is not afraid to get down and dirty when it comes down to it, and we already do see a hatchery being built, and it's not exactly at the normal location, Roddy. It's in his opponent's third base. You want to note, Dark is starting to try and mine from that base. He's mining from the top side because that is the side that's going to allow the fatter units, like say a Queen or something, through. This ramp is a little bit odd where the bottom side doesn't necessarily do that. But if he wants to do things like move a spine crawler up and build on the low ground, start creep up to the high ground, start migrating over, he needs to mine out more than just one of those mineral pack lines.
Oh, Creator really needs to get on top of this as quickly as possible. He has to kind of be aware of it right now. It's not just going to be Lings and Zerglings. We have a Roach Worm being dropped as well. Creator does have a Zealot running towards the bottom, and that Zealot could absolutely win the fight against the Lings. If the Zealot gets the drone, that'd be massive. Why wouldn't the Zealot try to get the drone? Now the doors are open. What would you like to see Creator do? I do think we need to go for a full wall-off in the front, so we can just fully focus on the... That's not a full wall-off.
That's not a full wall-off at all. And he's going to just hold position the Stalker over there. That's going to be able to hold the line for a little bit, but he absolutely needs to get a closer shield battery up if he wants to try and do that.
Yeah, that battery is too far away, right? That battery does not heal up the Stalker.
There's no way it heals the Stalker from there. That battery is going to be close. That's going to be so close. I don't think it's going to be in range.
This is not a bad little skirmish, though. Zealot's still alive, adapting, being able to get a couple of shots off. And I do believe that the probe saw the Roach one go up in the main base, right? Can we just double check that? But I'm pretty certain that Creator saw that. He knows that there is a good chance we're going to get a couple of Ravages out. He does not want to invest in a Stargate. He does not want to invest in a Robo. He's just going to go with mass gateway units. And I don't really hate it, because gateway units and batteries should be fine against Roaches and Lings. But I'm just worried for that one moment that the floodgates are open and a lot of Lings all of a sudden show up. But earlier I said I did not expect Dark to take too many risks, too many chances, because he is the favorite, right? He's not supposed to take these kinds of risks. Well, he's absolutely risking a lot here, and he's going to walk into the natural creator, but that is indeed fully walled off for now. Ooh. Every second that goes by is just a fantastic second for creator, because Dark cannot easily transition. Now, we do have a couple of links that are going to completely ignore all these batteries, and this is why we wanted to see that full wall off, because that would just make creator's life so much easier.
Yeah, and now the Ling's going to be able to try and get us around on the Adept. They don't quite kill the Adept, but they do manage to get in on top of a lot of the probes. 4 of them going down. The Ling's not being controlled because I think he's busy controlling the Ravagers of the front lines, trying to morph in a few more. The Lings eventually get cleaned up. But 5 workers dying at this stage in the game, I mean, that's almost a 1/6 the economy of creator.
It's good, but it's definitely nowhere near good enough for Dark. Dark needs a whole lot more, and he knows it. But even if he knows that these 2 Adepts are coming, what is he going to do about it? These 2 Adepts can very easily kill 5 or 6 drones, and that would put Dark in all sorts of trouble.
There are 0 units that were started up before these Adepts come in, and 4 Lings are all that are on the way in that main base. Drones are going down. The Ravagers are forced now to try and break on through. They're going to try and knock down one of the gateways. They really want to knock down the Cybernetics core, which will also prevent shield batteries and additional stalkers from being warped in. Pylons are going to be the target for now, but there are still pylons further back as well. I don't know if that's going to be the way to success here.
There are extra Ravagers coming, and slowly but steady, a couple of pylons will go down. Sniping the Cybercore is obviously cute, but look at that army of Creator, and don't forget, he's got an overcharge, and he will probably have the ability to get a couple of overcharges out. He's got an 18 worker lead over Dark. For Dark, it's truly now or never with the 42 army supply he's currently working with, and Creator probably can't believe it. He's like, is this really it? Am I doing it? He's absolutely doing it, but he does still need to clean up this army.
He does. I would still love if he did something with the left-hand side, walling it off so the Lings can't just try and distract some of these units. We're seeing really, really big corrosive vials knocking out 3 of the shield batteries instantaneously. That's going to be a big W there for Dark, but he's actually bleeding off some of these Zerglings as he rallies them in for the proxy hatch. Needs to adjust that rally.
Dark is definitely struggling here. We're going to go ahead and pop one of these overcharges immediately. Creator now chasing this army out very far. He really does not have to do that. He is in a tremendous position in this game. He's even dropping the robo, dropping a couple of extra batteries. It's almost like he truly cannot believe that he would have such a big advantage over his opponent. But hey, it is actually happening. All he needs to do is just keep on building units, keep on building batteries, because Dark needs to break Creator here. He's pulling the probes. It's a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering, like you were saying, he still can just chill for a little bit. He has other things that are coming up forward, like that Immortal transition with the Robo. I think as soon as that finishes up, it's going to be so difficult for Dark to ever break this. Even a Warp Prism would make or break the difference here. Surrounds and kills off one of the Ravagers. The Probe still getting involved in. I suppose a handful of them can die, but you don't want to lose all of them, I imagine.
And let's go back to mining. I feel like Creator is making this very difficult on himself. Just put your Stalkers in a concave, get a couple shots off. You can regenerate with the batteries, and Dark cannot. The only thing that Dark can do is get in range and try to pick off one battery at a time. Creator needs to just kind of continue back mining, man. These probes really have not helped a whole lot, and it would have been so much better to just put your Stalkers in a beautiful concave, and if he wants to get in range, you get a couple of shots off, but obviously it's so hard to stay calm and composed in the round of 12 of the biggest Starcraft tournament of the year. The force fields have not been half bad, and the army supplies look better right now for Creator than they did a long time ago. And finally, probes go back to what they are supposed to be doing, Ravi.
They are going to be comfortably mining now, no longer on the front lines of this skirmish. And I wonder if Creator was maybe thinking like, oh, maybe you're mining from that low ground base, maybe you're in a better economic situation than I thought. But at this point, with the first Immortal popping out, a shield battery also being popped, I think Creator knows he has a lot of reason to feel confident right now.
He's going to feel even more confident once these 2 Adepts make it into the main base one more time, or when Dark just steps out.
For now, Creator is going to do something that I think every Protoss player out there considers to be a safe play. Opening up Stargate, get out that Oracle. It's going to be just one of the best ways to ensure that you have better defenses against anything weirdly aggressive your opponent could do.
And Dark, his gas was actually, this is really weird. I love talking about this, even though it's not relevant at all. But whenever I scout a Zerg, and I see that they take that gas like a couple of seconds earlier than they normally take it, I get worried immediately because we have a double pylon block, by the way, slightly more important. This is really cool by Creator because he's making it awfully difficult difficult for Dark to just get that third hatchery up. And look at Dark's build order right now. He's stripping up 4 Overlords on the production tab in 3 minutes and 10 seconds because of all these pile and block shenanigans. 5 Overlords, what is happening?
This is kind of wild. He was at just 36 of 36 for such a long time. Finally pushes off the Adept, which may even be able to survive over here if the Shade finishes up. It rounds the bend and it survives. The Speedlings are still going to be giving chase to it for a moment's time, and those Lings did try and move across the map. A handful of them went over to the main base. I think they mostly got cleaned up, but a really, really nice start here for Creator to just throw Dark off his game.
Yep. Opening up with 1 Phoenix, by the way, is interesting, right? Maybe just confident that he... Oh, Bailing Nest, that's different. Maybe he just feels that he doesn't need that safety void ray that he went for. So Dark goes for a Bailing Nest and also an Evolution Chamber and a Spine Crawler.
Is he really convinced an Adept attack is coming?
Yeah, I think what he expected here was that the Stargate was like... I have no idea actually why he thinks he needs a Spine here. I feel like it's way too early to get a Spine. I'm lost, Ravi. I'm lost. And I think the Dark is lost. Maybe it's just the pressure of the moment. Maybe it's this stage. Maybe, you know, this tournament matters even more to him than we think it does. And he's like, it's happening again. And at this point, maybe the wheels are coming off a little. Now none of it is game ending. Dark still has a chance in this game. Don't get too concerned if you love the Zergies or you love Dark. But I have the feeling that Creator should really get a battery. I mean, Creator is hiding a lot of Adepts. I mean, this is also just like an ultra late resonating glaive adept attack, because its 3 base is pretty much fully saturated. It's a Phoenix into double Oracle into 17 adepts. Now that Spinecrawler is still going to come in handy, but what is more important than Spinecrawler are Banelings, Dark. You're going to need Banelings, and you're going to need a whole lot more than just 3. Or get a lot of roaches out, but like roaches are kind of going to spawn 1 by 1 across 4 different hatcheries. This is just going to get wild.
The Adepts are already shading into the mineral line. There's only those 3 Banelings finished up. A couple more are going to be finishing in a matter of moments, but we see that those Adepts are going to continue to shade on around. Where do you send the Banelings? The Banelings are going to try and follow the Adept chase, try and get the best attack hit possible, but a pre-split there with the Shades is going to allow a lot of these Adepts to survive, but not that many of them actually still alive anymore.
Nope, that is true. Dark obviously has been able to crank out a couple of roaches, got the Queens in the right position as well, and these Banelings, they bought some time, and hey, in the end, this attack kind of just dragged out, but it never really got into the sweet spot, and that super early Spinecrawler actually came in handy. Now Creator ends up losing an Oracle. Dark already working on +2 melee, man. Like, there's not even a Forge on the map, I think, for Creator, or maybe he's got one and he's just not using it. Nope, no Forge at all. Meanwhile, Dark is gonna have like world's quickest +2 here.
This is turning into an all... It just becomes like an all-in then, right? Surely, because, I mean, we do have the Warp Prism coming on out, Immortal coming on forward, and we're going to see all these Banelings get caught. Baneling speed is still a ways away, and these Banelings aren't exactly on creep, so they're going to be taking chip damage.
Just to emphasize everything on I said earlier, when I think the players are confused, if both of them want to attack each other, you know something went wrong in the game. Because one of them is wrong, right? Like, one of them is supposed to be the defender, one of them is supposed to be attacking, but Creator really wants to attack Dark, and Dark really wants to attack Creator, because they both feel like they need to do something. These Fortress go down, but we have a couple of Ravages in the mix, and here come the slow Banelings on creep as they get some very juicy connection with all of these Adepts, and Creator's army just absolutely melts.
And that is going to be that Dark. Now, it is going to be another one of these Void Ray follow-ups after that first Oracle.
I mean, earlier I said I don't think we're going to see multiple Void Rays because it's kind of fallen out of fashion, but Creator clearly wants to build multiple Void Rays, and they're actually quite useful against that Dropaloid invasion of the Zerg player. Do it up, say hello to this drone, and that drone is not going to fulfill its lifelong dream of becoming a hatchery. It will at least give Dark the heads up that there are 2 Adepts sharking around, looking to shade into a mineral line. Just look at the map vision right now. I love that Void Ray is going to push back the creep. We've got the Adepts slowing down a base. We've got an Oracle slowing down a potential base in the top left side. More Adepts roaming around. We normally see ZVP as the matchup where Zerg has all the map control in the world. Right now, it feels like it's the complete opposite. We have flipped the script. It's Creator who's got all the map vision, and Dark is kind of just chilling on his creep. Remember what I said in the very beginning of this series before we hopped into the first game? Creator is capable of making a couple of Oracles, rolling around with a few Adepts, and then just playing double Robo and going into that Colossus style. And I have the feeling that that is what we are going to see here. It could, of course, be Disruptors too, but since we're dropping a Templar Archives and we've got a Forge, I kind of feel that Colossus would make a whole lot of sense. Colossus are also better against Zerglings and Banelings and Disruptors are, I'd say, at least at first, if you have very few units. he needs to start firing up that upgrade Fear Dragon.
I think that possibly might be one of the most forgotten upgrades in the entire game, Kev. It is going to be an important one, though, like you were saying, especially if we are going to be moving into that kind of mid-game stage. A couple of Adepts are trying to get additional damage done. God, I just love how much damage Creator has been able to get done with just the Adepts and the Oracles. They have continuously found little bits and pieces of damage. Not tons, just little bits every time.
Looking at maybe 20 drones in total so far. Did we get there yet?
22.
22 drones in total. Colossus number 1 is out. Colossus number 2 is on the way. Or actually number 2 is out, and he does fire up extended thermal lens. And I think right now, this one is relatively straightforward for Creator. We macro, we macro, we macro. You look at the production tab, he obviously has a very good idea on how far along the tech is of Dark. And once Creator is around like 170-ish supply, that's when he moves out. Couple of Colossus, a lot of gateway units. I think there are a few Immortals in the mix. We queue up a War Prism. He already has one actually, because he's been arresting obviously with these Adepts. At first he defends, and around 170, 180 supply, Creator needs to start moving to the other side of the map, because of course he wants to fight a Dark that does not have access to those high-tech units yet.
Those Phoenix are such an interesting choice as well. I'm curious, is that just for just keeping an eye out on the army and, I don't know, killing off the Overseer or something?
What is it? 2 Phoenixes?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit paranoid about Mudas.
Yeah, possibly.
Had one, but maybe wasn't quite sure yet what he was going up against. He didn't see a lot of gas units initially, so I think it was more like just in case you're going Mudas. +2 melee is 10 seconds away from finishing up, as Mapu is showing us. And we've got a lot of Banelings morphing. Can he get those Oracles? I want to see if he got the Oracles, actually. I think he did. Did he just kill the Oracles with... Oh my goodness, Dark killed the Oracles with the Ravagers. Right when we took a look at these Banelings, that was a big play. Now all these Banelings come in from the right side. And is that the turning moment that Dark was looking for?
He is going to already find 18 workers. So many Banelings still left alive as well. They're going to continue to chase after those probes, and they are going to be heading straight over to the Natural. The Immortals going to be big body blockers to prevent these Banelings from making their way in. And that is going to put an end to the damage with 19 workers is definitely something that Dark should feel pretty decent about.
Creator should not get too intimidated by this. He kind of needs to go, man, because I don't think that life is going to be a whole lot better than this at the moment. You're within 20-30 army supply. You've got +2 weapons finishing up. I think he's quite mortified after losing these probes, losing the Oracles. But this is the moment where I think the Protoss army is going to do a lot better than the Zerg army. Even if he ends up losing one of the bases, the longer he waits, the more likely it is he's going to have to win a completely different game. And that is the game against Vipers, as one Colossus actually just gets picked off by Roaches and Ravagers. Creator's having a hard time right now keeping up with the speed of Dark.
It is going to be so difficult. There was maybe a little window after 35 or so Banelings get utilized and basically suicide in for the workers, but that window is gone. Dark is already at that max out point again. Adrenal glands on the way, +3 missile or melee attacks is also on the way, and Dark is continuing to try and find ways to buy time. He's looking for opportunities to run to the main base, but those Immortals have been staying at home. Problem is, everything's staying at home.
Yeah, Creator right now just says, you know what, I'm just going to try to defend for a little bit, and I'm going to just get a terrifying Protoss army. And even if you get a Viper or 2, I'll figure out a way to deal with this. I've got a couple of High Templars. I could potentially feedback these bad boys. Dark shows up. Adrenal Gland's not quite done yet, but that is a lot of links, and this many links can actually surround an Archon and pick it off. A couple of probes fall, and I think most likely this Nexus will fall too. The Immortals are still just chilling on the high ground, and that Nexus melts. Let's take a look at that other fight as well, as I was taking a look at the fight in the top left by the looks of it, but at least Creator was able to keep the triangle base alive, but he lost probes and he lost the Nexus.
That is going to be really brutal for him to deal with, and it's a tough question now. Does Creator say it's go time? He's only sitting at 156 supply, but he's lost so much of his economy. He cannot wait around. It feels like he is going to start moving out across the map. Already using a couple of force fields, though.
His army is good enough. Like, his army, I think, is absolutely good enough. He's got 8 Immortals, 4 Archons, 2 Colossus. I think there is potential for Creator to end the game here, because there are still no Vipers. And I think it's so damn difficult. How are you going to get Roaches on top of Colossus when there are this many Immortals in the mix, as Dark is ending up losing a couple of these units? He's just all-out counterattacking. Creator has gone for the full wall off. This is it. I think in the next minute we'll find out who is making it into the quarterfinals.
Creator able to, or not able to prevent Dark from getting coming into his main base. The wall gets knocked down, but he is continuing to snipe off hatcheries on the other side of the map. He is continuing to pick off these units, and his army does not look like it's an army that's going to be going down easily.
The thing is, though, Creator's going to have to recall eventually, man, because these links are +3 links with adrenal glands, and he recalls half his army, but he loses the Nexus. Oh no, Creator, I think the dreams are falling apart here. He has lost each and every single base. He had the better army, the army that could have actually won the fight straight up, but Dark says, I'm not fighting your army, mate. I'm counterattacking, and you can see it in the chair. Creator is devastated. He is going to lose each and every single building, and it seems that it will be Dark who's moving into the quarterfinals to meet his teammate Hero.
Every single one of these buildings, these are the last lifelines there, but Dark takes out the last building. He eliminates Creator, not only from the game, but from the tournament.